What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to part 2 of my Metamagix Monster Manual Magic Item Dump. Name pending. For those of you unfamiliar, I published an entire monster manual based on the Killers of Dead by Daylight, and in the previous video I also published a bunch of magic items based on fighting those killers, giving them as quest rewards, etc., which I can link you guys to right up here somewhere. But this is part 2 of that series. This is going to be the next final 10 magic items in the Dead by Daylight chapter of the Metamagix Monster Manual. Before we get into it, only a small percentage of you guys who watch these videos are actually subscribed. So if you haven't subscribed yet and you enjoy this homebrew content, consider subscribing. It's free and you can always change your mind. Also, you can find a link to every single one of these magic item cards in the description below. It'll take you to my Discord where the pictures can be downloaded for free. So here's our first killer, the Spirit, and their magic item is going to be the Shattered Katana. It is a rare weapon that requires attunement. It does 1d8 slashing damage, and you gain +1 to attack and damage rolls made with this weapon. This weapon has 3 charges. As a bonus action, you may expend 1 charge, doubling your movement speed and allowing you to enter the ethereal plane until the end of your turn. You can end this ability at any time prior, and you regain all expended charges daily at dawn. So while the Spirit can use this ability at will, the weapon you get, should you get this yourself, only comes with 3 charges. Next up, we have the Legion, and the Legion's magic item is the Legion's Knife. It is another rare weapon that requires attunement, a rare dagger, a sharp blade with a jagged sawback and textured handle. It deals 1d4 slashing damage. You gain +1 to attack and damage rolls made with this weapon. Dealing damage with this weapon applies a deep wound to the target, dealing 1d4 damage at the start of each of the target's turns. A creature can use an action to mend the wound, stopping the bleeding. While not necessarily useful on smaller, more minion targets, using this on a high priority target, boss monster, or otherwise could be very effective. Next up, we have the Plague. And for the Plague, we have the Profane Censer. It is another rare weapon that requires attunement, exuding the sweet fragrances of the gardens the priestess used to attend to. Deals 1d8 bludgeoning damage. You gain +1 to attack and damage rolls made with this weapon, and on a hit, the target must succeed on a DC 10 Constitution saving throw or become poisoned until the end of their next turn. So just like the Legion's ability, this one can constantly apply without any sort of charges. Next up, we have the Ghost Vase. And for the Ghost Vase, we have Ghost Face's Tactical Knife. Deals 1d4 piercing damage, and you gain +1 to attack and damage rolls made with this weapon. And attacks made at advantage with this weapon deal double damage. Otherwise, the damage dealt with this weapon is halved. So only pull this weapon out in the most priority circumstances. It does not apply the vulnerable effect, as that would prevent it from stacking with other vulnerable effects. So if you happen to get the double damage effect, plus any vulnerabilities that you may have with the weapon, it will deal 4 times instead. Next up, we have the Demogorgon. And for the Demogorgon, we have the Barbarous Claw. It is a rare, wondrous item that requires attunement. A gargantuan hand of immense strength, its long fingers can brutalize prey. While attuned to this item, your strength score increases by 1, and you gain a climbing speed equal to your walking speed. So just a pretty simple item there, nothing too special. Next up, we have the Oni. And for the Oni, we have the Yamaoka Blade. It is a rare weapon that requires attunement, a long blade that was passed down from one generation to the next. Deals 1d8 slashing damage. You gain +1 to attack and damage rolls made with this weapon. And on a successful hit, you heal for 1/4 of the damage dealt, rounded up. Most effectively given to somebody like a fighter who has multiple attacks, can gain a lot of healing off of this. Very strong weapon nonetheless. Moving on, we have the Deathslinger. And the Deathslinger's magic weapon is the Redeemer. It is a rare weapon that requires attunement, a sharp weapon with a strong bite. Deals 1d8 piercing damage. And you gain +1 to attack and damage rolls made with this weapon. When you successfully land a hit on a creature of large size or smaller, you may force that creature to make a contested athletics check versus your own athletics check. On a failure, you can pull the creature toward your location at the cost of your own movement. The movement cost for medium targets or smaller is a 1 foot to 1 foot ratio. For large creatures, the cost is doubled, meaning it will you will have to use 2 feet of movement for every 1 foot that you move them. And it takes a bonus action to reload the Redeemer. And if you roll a 1 on the attack roll of this weapon, the weapon misfires, requiring you to take an action to repair it. So functions similar to any firearm, however, it comes with its own ammunition, so you don't have to worry about supplying it with ammunition, making it pretty efficient overall. Moving on, we have Pyramid Head or the Executioner. And for the Executioner's magic item, we have the Executioner's Great Knife. It is a rare weapon that requires attunement. A massive chef snipe to reap affliction and misery from his victims. It deals 2d6 slashing damage. You gain +1 attack and damage rolls made with this weapon. And as a bonus action, you may drag this weapon on the ground to create a trail of torment. Any creatures who pass through the trail take 1d4 piercing damage. The trail disappears at the start of your next turn, so you will have to keep reapplying this as you walk through the battleground. Moving on, we have the Blight. And the Blight gains the Blighted Serum magic item. It is a very rare consumable potion. Pustula serum courses through his veins, corrupting his mind and body, yet granting him unnatural physical abilities. When injected, this serum doubles your movement speed and increases your strength and dexterity by 5 for 1 minute. After the serum expires, you must succeed on a DC 15 Constitution saving throw or become poisoned for 1 minute and suffer 2 levels of exhaustion. So a very serious high cost, high risk, high reward item. Moving on, we have the Twins. And I don't own the Twins, the newest killer, so this is the screen you're going to have to look at. For the Twins magic item, we have the Blade of Marseille. It is a rare weapon that requires attunement. It deals 1d8 slashing damage. You gain +1 to attack and damage rolls made with this weapon. And the unique ability is Blood Bond. While attuned to this weapon, when you are hit with an attack, a willing creature within 5 feet of you can take any amount of the damage instead of you. So giving this weapon to a very squishy target and placing them next to a tank will prove to be very effective at keeping them alive. But guys, that is going to do it for the second batch of magic item drops from the Metamagix Monster Manual. Going forward with any future pages of the Monster Manual, I will be including the magic items in the videos that I make the pages on. That was my mistake not doing that in the first place, but we're all caught up now. So going forward, each episode of the Metamagix Monster Manual will include a magic item if it is applicable, if I decide to give one to the monster I make. But also, I can't count. I said that there would be 13 in this video because I thought there were 25 killers in Dead by Daylight. I was wrong. There are only 22. So only 10 items today. But regardless, guys, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave it a like. And again, subscribe if you haven't and you're enjoying this type of content. I got a lot more homebrew coming out very soon. But until the next time, guys, I'll probably see you in a week. I'm going to go play Cyberpunk.